Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Morrowind Book Club. Today we're going to be reading the biography of the Wolf Queen with special guest host, Chaos Cosades. He'll be standing over there in the corner showing off his, actually to be very honest, quite impressive body, while we go ahead and read this book. Let's get started. Alright, we've gained knowledge from this book. Our speechcraft skill has increased to 26. I'm not sure if we needed another point in speechcraft this level, but I guess I'll take it. Biography of the Wolf Queen by Qatar Ariphanes. Alright. Few historic figures are viewed as unambiguously evil, but Potima, the so-called Wolf Queen of Solitude, this sounds familiar, surely qualifies for that dishonor. Born to the imperial family in the 67th year of the Third Era, Potima was immediately presented to her grandfather, the Emperor Uriel Septim II, a famously kind-hearted man who viewed the solemn, intense babe and whispered, "She looks like a she-wolf about ready to pounce." Now I want to listen to some Megadeth. Anyways, sorry. Potima's childhood in the Imperial City was certainly difficult from the start. Her father, Prince Pelagius Septim, and her mother, Kizara, showed little affection for their brood. Their eldest brother, Antiochus, 16 at Potima's birth, was already a drunkard and womanizer, infamous in the Empire. Her younger brothers, Sepphoris and Magnus, and I swear if you drop one more name, I'm going to freak out, were born much later. So for years, she was the only child in the imperial court. By the age of 14, Potima was a famous beauty with many suitors, but she was married to cement relations with King Mantiarco. Give me a moment while I go freak out. Actually, it was just an excuse to get a drink of water. Anyways, Mantiarco of the Nordic Kingdom of Solitude. She entered the court, it was said, as a pawn, but she quickly became a queen. The elderly king, Mantiarco, loved her and allowed her all the power she wished, which was total. When Uriel Septim II died the following year, her father was made emperor. Okay, and he faced a greatly depleted treasury, thanks to his father's poor management. Pelagius II dismissed the Elder Council, forcing them to buy back their positions. In the Third Era 97, so this is well before the events of Arena, after many miscarriages, the Queen of Solitude gave birth to a son, who she named Uriel after her grandfather. Mantiarco quickly made Uriel his heir, but the queen had much larger ambitions for her child. 2 years later, Pelagius II died, many say poisoned by a vengeful former council member, and his son, Potima's brother, Antiochus, took the throne. At age 48, it could be said that Antiochus's wild seeds had yet to be sown, and the history books are nearly pornographic in their depictions of life at the imperial court during the years of his reign. Potima, whose passion was for power, not fornication, was scandalized every time she visited the imperial city. Mantiarco, king of Solitude, died the springtide after Pelagius II. Uriel ascended to the throne, ruling jointly with his mother. Doubtless, Uriel had the right and would have preferred to rule alone, but Potima, I still don't know how to pronounce it properly, convinced him that his position was only temporary. He would have the empire, not merely the kingdom. In Castle Solitude, she entertained dozens of diplomats from other kingdoms of Skyrim, sowing seeds of discontent. Her guest list over the years expanded to include kings and queens of High Rock and Morrowind as well. For 13 years, Antiochus ruled Tamriel and proved an able leader despite his moral laxity. Several historians point to proof that Potima cast the spell that ended her brother's life, but evidence one way or another is lost in the sands of time. In any event, both she and her son Uriel were visiting the imperial court in the Third Era 112 when Antiochus died and immediately challenged the rule of his daughter and heir, Kintira. Potima's speech to the Elder Council is perhaps helpful to students of public speaking. This is where we get the bonus to her speechcraft. She began with flattery and self-abasement. "My most august and wise friends, members of the Elder Council, I am but a provincial queen, and I can only assume to bring to issue what you yourselves must have already pondered." She continued on to praise the late emperor, who was a popular ruler in spite of his flaws. He was a true septum and a great warrior, destroying, with your counsel, the near invincible armada of Piandonia. I think I got that. But little time was wasted before she came to her point. The Empress Magna, unfortunately, did nothing to temper my brother's lustful spirits. In point of fact, no whore in the slums of the city spread out on more beds than she. All right. Had she attended to her duties in the imperial bedchamber more faithfully, we would have a true heir to the empire, not the half-wit milksop bastards who call themselves the emperor's children. A girl called Kintira is popularly believed to be the daughter of Magna and the captain of the guard. It may be that she is the daughter of Magna, and the boy who cleans the cistern. We can never know for certain. Not as certainly as we can know the lineage of my son, Uriel, the last of the Septim dynasty. Despite Patima's eloquence, the other council allowed Kintira to assume the throne as the Empress Kintira II. Patima and Uriel angrily returned to Skyrim and began assembling the rebellion. Details of the War of the Red Diamond are included in other histories. We need not recount the Empress Kintira II's capture and eventual execution in High Rock in the year Third Era 114, nor the ascension of Patima's son Uriel III 7 years later. Her surviving brothers, Sepphoris and Magnus, fought the Emperor and his mother for years, tearing the Empire apart in a civil war. I wonder what book, let's see, of the War of the Red Diamond. I wonder if there's a book in the game. Actually, yeah. I should be on the look for a book called The War of the Red Diamond so I can get the details of this. Anyways, when Uriel III fought his uncle Sepphoris in Hammerfell at the Battle of Ichadag in the Third Era 127, Patima was fighting her other brother, Uriel's uncle Magnus, in Skyrim at the Battle of Falkenstar. She received word of her son's defeat and capture just as she was preparing to mount an attack on Magnus's weakest flank. The 61-year-old Wolf Queen flew into a rage and led the assault herself. It was a success, and Magnus and his army fled. In the midst of the victory celebration, Patima heard the news that her son, the Emperor, had been killed by an angry mob before he had even made it for trial in the Imperial City. He had been burned to death within his carriage. When Sepphoris was proclaimed Emperor, Patima's fury was terrible to behold. She summoned Daedra to fight for her, had her necromancers resurrect her fallen enemies as undead warriors, and mounted attack after attack on the forces of the Emperor Sepphoris I. Her allies began leaving her as her madness grew, and her only companions were the zombies and skeletons she had amassed over the years. The Kingdom of Solitude became a land of death. Stories of the ancient Wolf Queen began being waited on by rotting skeletal chambermaids and holding war plans with vampiric generals terrified her subjects. Patima died after a month-long siege on her castle in the year Third Era 137 at the age of 90. While she lived, she had been the Wolf Queen of Solitude, daughter of the Emperor Pelagius II, wife of King Mantiarco, aunt of the Empress Kintira II, mother of Emperor Uriel III, and sister of the Emperors Antiochus and Sepphoris. 3 years after her death, Antiochus died, and Patima's brother Magnus took the throne. Her death has hardly diminished her notoriety. Though there is a little direct evidence of this, some theologians maintain that her spirit was so strong she became a Daedra after her death, inspiring mortals to mad ambition and treason. It is also said that her madness so infused Castle Solitude that it infected the next king to rule there. Ironically, that was her 18-year-old nephew Pelagius, the son of Magnus. Wait. That said that her madness. Wasn't there a book that I think in Daggerfall we had read one called The Madness of Pelagius, was it? I'll have to go ahead and look back on that, but I'm pretty sure we had seen an account of this before. Anyways, the son of Magnus. Whatever the truth of the legend, it is undeniable that when Pelagius left Solitude in Third Era 145 to assume the title of the Emperor Pelagius III, he quickly became known as Pelagius the Mad. Maybe that's what it was. Yes. It is even widely rumored that he murdered his father, Magnus. The Wolf Queen must surely have had the last laugh. Fun read. I'm kind of curious. Castle Solitude. I haven't played enough Skyrim to know if that's there, but I really do hope it is there, because when I get to Skyrim, that's going to be one location I'm making note to go to. So anyways, this has been the Morrowind Book Club. Thanks a lot for your helpful, your delightful commentary, Chaos. It was a joy having you here on the show. Yeah, so if you like this video, you like the content, and you'd like to see more of it, go ahead and give the video a thumbs up. If you didn't, leave it a thumbs down. Either way, let me know what you thought in the comment section, and until next time, I'd like to ask you all to game on.